What's up, everybody? I'm Katie.
And I'm Morgan.
And this is For Your Misinformation, a podcast dedicated to empowering women to be more politically engaged so we can act in our own best interests.
Let us break down the problem and tell you what we're doing and what you can do to help solve it.
Hi, Morgan.
Hi, Katie.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. It's been a weird day.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm pretty good, honestly. I had a good day. I went for like a half an hour walk, which was nice.
You didn't get attacked by any animals?
Not today. Not me.
Well, I did,
No.
everyone. I have no self-care or future plans or anything this week because I'm just happy I survived. I got attacked by a goose this morning on a run, and I did not know what you're supposed to do when you get attacked by a goose. So I punched it.
Okay, so I just, like, the most frightening part of that story to me is, like, how did that goose's chest get to a level where you could be punching it?
Like, seriously, it was just running at me, and I just started running a little faster.
Right.
And then it was, like, behind me, but to the side, like, so it was coming at me from a diagonal.
Mm-hmm.
And it took flight, and the instant it took flight, I was like, I am fucked, because I can outrun a running goose, but not a flying goose.
Mm-hmm.
And so, holy shit, they're huge when their wings are expanded.
Yeah. No, that would be terrifying. So you did like a spin move and you punched in the chest.
I did a spin move. I spun and punched it.
Nice. And you're still here to tell the story.
Out of the air. Yeah, it worked.
So, like, what do you think it was, like, protecting babies? Like, why was it?
Yeah, like, that's definitely what it was, is there were babies. And, like, I was trying to give a wide berth because I get it. They're territorial, they're aggressive. I'm a big, scary human. But there were geese on both sides of the trail with babies. So it's like, well, I just had to run down the middle of the trail. There wasn't a way to give a wider berth. And, like, usually it's fine. They usually just hiss. Sometimes I hiss back to, like, assert dominance. Sure. I don't know if you're supposed to do that either. But this goose, I did not hiss at. And it was like, no, it's time to throw down. Fine, goose. We can play.
I mean, you won.
I did. I won. I knocked it out of the ground when I punched it. And then it went and did goosey things. Like, I ran a little further ahead, stopped, and, like, turned around. I made sure the goose wasn't hurt. It was fine. It just kept wandering around after that, being a goose.
Learned a lesson, hopefully.
Yeah, better think twice next time before it chases a runner. Yeah. Have you ever seen their mouths up close, like within 6 inches of your face? Because they're terrifying.
I mean, I'm legitimately scared of Canadian geese. I don't need another reason to be scared of them.
Canada.
Take them back.
Get your geese.
Yeah.
Come get your geese, Canada.
I'm sorry.
Also, their poop is everywhere on the trail, and, like, that's kind of gross too. And my dogs like to try to eat it, which is extra gross.
That was one of my favorite / least favorite complaints that I got when I worked at the health department.
I remember that.
Like, I'd get complaints from people who lived in apartments that their landlords wouldn't clean up the goose poop. And it's like, hey, man, I'm really sorry that that's happening to you. That is not a thing I can help you with. Like, please, goodbye.
Yeah, unfortunately, goose poop is not a violation of your civil rights.
Right. No, it's not. Okay, so first things first, we forgot last week, coronavirus update. As of this recording, it's May 7th. It's about 9:20 p.m. There have been 76,925 deaths in the United States from COVID, which is just an enormous number. I don't know. It's really sad. And I would like to hear your take on, so this is like what it seems like is going on to me, essentially, is with these different state openings that are at different levels of decreasing coronavirus, like tests and deaths every day, whatever. It seems like there's just going to be like 3,000 deaths a day, like for the foreseeable future, kind of.
I mean, yeah, at least until we run out of people who are susceptible to dying from this.
Right. So
it kind of seems like it. Like, it definitely feels like it. And I hope that's not the case.
Yeah.
I did read a new piece of research today that pretty much everyone who recovers does have some type of antibody,
okay, good.
which is great. However, a lot of people who recover also have some type of lasting, like, heart or lung issue as well. And great if they have an antibody, but they don't know how effective those antibodies are yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be protective or it could be irrelevant.
Awesome.
You know, it could mean that you're still very susceptible to other strains. It could mean that, you know, you can still get it, but just not as bad and be more likely to be an asymptomatic carrier. Yeah. I mean, we still don't know enough about it, which was, you know, the whole reason for
the shutdown.
These shutdowns and extreme measures were so we have a little bit of time to try to get ahead of it, try to figure it out, those types of things, and to get measures in place to ensure that people can go back to work safely.
Yeah, so they can get
why
tested.
Are we opening? Why are we opening up the meat packing plants?
Right.
To operate the same as they did before.
Yeah.
Like, things can reopen.
Right,
like,
but
we absolutely can.
We haven't taken any
way.
of the steps to make sure that it's okay. Like, the reason that some of these other countries are opening is because they have, like, the testing capabilities in place. We've not been setting those up adequately. We're not ready to reopen, which from, like, a selfish standpoint, that just because of my mom, basically, like, it just seems like the world is going to be a really dangerous place for us, particularly until, like, at least the end of the year, because we've just decided that there's this, like, baseline risk that's acceptable, that, like, we're going to have thousands of deaths a day for a while.
Yeah. And it's like, remember when we mourned for months when 3,000 people died in one day at 9/11, and we will mourn on that day for the rest of our lives because it impacted us so much. And 3,000 people die every day from this now. And like, people die every day from stuff, but like 3,000 people who otherwise would not have died on that day, dying from one cause, is shocking. And I think another thing that really frustrates me is that when this was in its early phase, we were all in this together, right? Yeah. The number of tweets and texts and commercials and people writing on their house garage doors, we're all in this together, and all of that. Until we found that, oh, wow, okay, so it really only seems like Black and brown people and old people and disabled people, kitty, are the ones who are going to actually die. So now it's fine. Now it's personal responsibility.
Right.
Now it's all on you.
Actually, that's a really good point, in that coronavirus lately has been reminding me of the gun control debate, in that, like, we have, as Americans, I mean, we haven't, but, like, it just seems like Americans as a whole have been okay with a certain level of, like, death and destruction under the guise of freedom.
Yep.
And honestly, it's the same thing. And, like, we're going to talk about gun control today.
Yeah, it's like, even if your freedom's putting all of these other people at risk. Right. Which also brings me to yesterday, the pandemic video was out, and it's all anybody would talk about. Your aunt, maybe your mom, the random people you went to high school with, probably all posted this on their Facebook pages, and then we're up in arms because it kept getting taken down.
So I don't use Facebook, so I didn't even know what you were talking about.
You're so blessed. Like, here's the thing. Part of the beauty of living in this country, right, is that freedom of speech and stuff. Yes, there is a freedom to post things like that. But also, part of this whole, like, personal responsibility thing would include people removing their emotional attachment to the fear that's surrounding all of this, which is valid, but people aren't going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's actually really harmful. So it's like, yes, freedom is great. And I'm so glad to live in a country where people are free to post anti-vax propaganda.
But not at the expense of other people's health.
Not at the expense of other people's health. I'm glad we live in a country where people are free to own a gun, but not at the expense of other people's safety.
Right.
Like, I'm glad we live in a country where people are free to work, which is like not freedom, FYI.
Yeah.
But like not at the expense of people's health.
Yeah.
And it's just a very selfish notion. And so if anybody needs some good canned responses to people who are still remaining to be obsessed with this whole pandemic video, let us know.
Morgan's got a canned response.
I've got one. Otherwise, just like defriend them, unfollow them, like get that kind of negativity out of your life.
Yeah.
Some conspiracy theories are kind of fun, like believing that Katy Perry is John Benet Ramsey, but this is not one of those. Yeah.
Oh my God. Katy Perry is not John Benet Ramsey.
No, Katy Perry is not John Benet Ramsey. But
the brother did it, by the way. That's my official take. The brother killed John Benet Ramsey. I'm not interested in any other takes at this time. Thank you.
Allegedly, and that's just our opinion.
Fine.
Don't at us. But yeah, like... yeah, it's very frustrating. And when people also talk about, well, look at Sweden, they didn't do all this. Okay, Sweden is very different than America for lots of reasons. It is much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Their people are much healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true that they did do some social distancing measures. Yes. It's not like they just had raves every night or something. Also, they have had more cases and more deaths than a lot of the other like surrounding Scandinavian countries. Mm-hmm. And they are a very different country in that they are a socialist democracy. The people there trust their government to take care of them. Their people there have access to healthcare when they need to be taken care of. The government trusts the people to listen and do the right thing. And so it works. We don't have that in America. We have people who have to still go to work when they're sick and having symptoms of this deadly virus because their health insurance is tied to their employment, or they're only getting paid $7.25 an hour, and their government won't take care of them if they have to take 2 weeks off, or they lose their job because they can't go back to work. Like, actually, I'm not saying Sweden is a utopia, but I mean, compared to this.
Oh, for sure. A lot of what you just said is stuff that I like want to touch on in this episode.
Okay, let's get to it. Let's get to guns.
Okay. Okay. Well, today I would like to tell you about a happy story. I feel like not that often do we get to talk about happy stories. We are most often complaining about shit, and there is quite a bit to complain about. But
like, it's constructive complaining.
For
we're
sure.
Trying to do stuff about it.
Of course. Yes. And I think we could all use a nice story. So I would like to tell you about Virginia in 2019, because it is a very nice story. So, we talk a lot about divided and like not divided governments. So Illinois is a blue trifecta. Man, is Iowa a red trifecta?
Iowa is a red trifecta.
That sucks. Sorry, man.
Womp womp.
But there's a lot of states that have divided government, and Virginia was one of those states back in 2019. So they elected Ralph Northam, who might sound familiar to you because he was involved with a blackface scandal. But he is, as far as politicians go, he's not so bad. He's the Democratic governor from Virginia. So he was elected in 2018, but they had a divided government. Both the state house and the state senate were Republican held. And I don't know if you remember, but there was a mass shooting in Virginia Beach in May of last year. So, I mean, just about a year ago, a little bit less. I don't remember it, like, specifically. 12 people died. And that is really sad, but 12 people die in mass shootings all the time, which is awful, of course, but like I can't even remember this particular shooting, but it's the shooting that sparked a huge amount of activism in Virginia that ended up with a lot of really positive consequences. So when that shooting took place, Ralph Northam, the governor, called a special legislative session to talk about 8 specific gun control measures. And when that session got together, the Republican legislature just blew him off. The session lasted like 2 hours. They never took a vote on anything. They never really talked about anything constructive. They suggested forming like an exploratory committee of some sort, which is what they did after the Virginia Tech shooting. But it's just another example of them like a dereliction of duty, honestly, is what I would call it. Like that, I don't know. So that pissed people the fuck off. And it would piss me off too, that like such a mass shooting would happen in your state. People want something to be done about it. And the Republicans in the Virginia legislature were like, all right, so basically the Republicans in Virginia's Congress were like, fuck Ralph Northam. We don't need your gun control. And since Virginia has some of the loosest campaign finance laws in the country, and I haven't mentioned this yet, but that is where the NRA is headquartered. So they've typically been very gun friendly. A ton of like local activists, but also nationwide activists, including people with Sister District and Moms Demand Action, were like, oh, hell no. Like, we are not, like, if you guys want to play it that way, like, fine. Every single seat is up for election in 2019 in Virginia. And they started doing an incredible amount of grassroots organizing. A ton of money was sunk into doing advertisement. Mike Bloomberg helped a lot with that. And basically, after more than a year of organizing in the November elections, both Virginia's House and Senate flipped blue. So they went from being a really divided government into a blue trifecta, and they got shit done.
Yay!
So this is like why we focus so much on swing states. Like the federal government is a fucking joke right now. Democrats control the House. Republicans under the Grim Reaper Mitch McConnell control the Senate, and then Donald Trump is the president. So like there is no sweeping legislation getting done there. In 2018, they did pass a tax bill that put a lot of money back in the pockets of millionaires and billionaires. It was of no benefit to you and me, essentially.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell's got a stack of things on his desk that he will not pass.
Right. So yeah, exactly. It's like 400 bills or something that he won't even bring to a vote. So things are so broken, so polarized at that level. Like I have started not even really, I mean, obviously we want to move in a direction where we have a functional government, of course, but that would mean flipping the Senate and taking back the White House, which, I hope happens. But until then, that kind of stuff can be done on the state level because in America, states have a lot of rights. So, for example, even if Roe versus Wade got overturned, because I live in a blue trifecta, abortion is protected here. I could still get an abortion in Illinois if I wanted to or needed to. I haven't looked it up, but I'm pretty confident saying that that's not true for you.
No, it definitely wouldn't be.
Yeah. So that's why it's important. Like, honestly, state and local politics is more important than federal politics. And
yeah, for sure. And a lot of people don't know anything about their state and local politics.
Yeah. So the Virginia model is kind of what we're moving towards in each swing state. I mean, and that's why we have individual episodes about each swing state where progress can be made, and not every single one, Virginia's a weird state, actually, that in that all of their seats were up in 2019. So there was a lot of room to take back those legislatures. So, we're setting realistic expectations. Like what did we just talk about? We're not taking back the Michigan Senate. But we could take back the House, and that would be a good improvement. Incremental change is still good.
Yeah, that would mean that the Democratic governor there could be a lot more influential.
Right. And actually get shit done, because like what's going on in Michigan right now is what was going on in Virginia before they had to have a Democratic governor. But because the Republican legislature is both parts of chambers of the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Michigan State House and Senate are both Republican. Like they won't help Gretchen Whitmer get shit done. So let's change that. So the federal government is too broken to fix stuff. And once, basically, like the Republicans in the Virginia House and Senate pissed people off so much that they were outspent 8-1, like Democratic spending outspent Republican spending 8-1 to try and change stuff, which was cool.
Wow, that's like unheard of.
I know. There was so much money in those Virginia elections, which also I would like to say, I don't like that you can spend that much money on elections. Elections should absolutely be publicly funded, but since they're not right now, like to get shit done, you have to outspend Republicans 8-1 basically to get it. And this also, the crazy part is like, that's the will of the voters. Like if you took a poll, like the most Virginians wanted a handful at least of those gun control measures passed. Republicans wouldn't even bring it to a vote, So like they had to get outspent 8-1 to get what the voters wanted even listened to, So campaign finance is fucked up. I'm sure we'll do an episode about that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's on the list. So yeah. And the other reason that Democrats were able to win is because Virginia just got redistricted in a fair way after the courts ruled that the districts were racially gerrymandered. So it was like a fairer chance to flip the House and the Senate too. So a lot of good stuff happened in Virginia in November 2019. But between that shooting and total inaction from the Republicans, basically people in Virginia and across the country were like, all right, well then like we're coming for your jobs. And the other part that like kind of made that worthwhile is like the NRA is really struggling. Thank God. So they have less money.
We love to see it. Thoughts and prayers, NRA.
We do love to see it. I thought about making Wayne LaPierre the asshole of the week, but honestly, I'm just going to make it the entire Virginia's like legislature of 2019 who just like absolutely did not do anything. They're bad at their jobs.
Also, anybody who, whenever we're talking about gun control, says, but Chicago.
Oh, God. Most of Chicago's guns come from Gary, Indiana, by the way.
Yeah.
So we could do an episode about that. There are good gun laws in Illinois, but there are terrible gun laws in the states surrounding Illinois. So we're only as protected as our states with the least strong gun control. Same with public health. What I mean. It's just,
and like gun control is public health.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So Virginia turned into a blue trifecta. Passed a bunch of gun control laws, including on silencers and semi-automatic weapons. Made it harder for domestic abusers to get guns, which we love to see. Mm-hmm. They also lifted restrictions on abortion access. Do you want to talk about like why abortion access is so important?
Well, someday we are definitely going to have a whole episode on this.
Yeah.
Like your access to abortion is just one of the most basic freedoms of bodily autonomy.
Right.
For lots of reasons. Deciding to bring another human into this world is a huge thing, a very big deal. The whole, another being is taking your body and sharing it is a really big deal. Like there's a whole bunch of really personal reasons. And like, it's just the most fundamental, like, thing, bodily autonomy, somebody not telling you like, that you have to or can't, you know, make this decision for yourself. And like, if you're not if you can't make a decision what to do regarding your own pregnancy, like why would you be allowed to raise a human? You know, like there's just, it's just, it just is another fundamental public health issue that we're definitely going to have a whole episode on.
I'm sure we will. You're right. It's the most fundamental acknowledgement that like you have control over your own body. You are a fully functional human adult. Nobody else gets to tell you what to do.
Like it's the same reason that you can't be forced to be an organ donor.
Right.
Like when you're dead or alive, they cannot force you to be an organ donor or a blood donor or anything else without your consent. Same kind of thing. And like, I totally understand the whole like argument that like, well, you know, what about that body? What about the body of the fetus? Like I understand that, but again, like the sentient human being is the one that gets to make that decision. And that's also, just that.
And I also like what I get stuck on a lot is how I think if Republicans especially, but just people who are pro-life in general or anti-choice in general, I never hear them talk about miscarriage, you know? So if you actually really believed that abortion, that like an embryo was a person, you would be as upset about miscarriage as you would be about abortion. And they never are.
No, there's really, there's no protection for, there's very few protection for women and pregnancy in general. Our maternal health in this country's not abysmal. Great. Our maternity and paternity leave aren't good. Like there's a lot of discrimination involved with pregnancy, and it's like there's another direction I was going with this based on what you said, and I don't remember what it was. I'll talk about it in a future episode.
Okay. Yes. Deal. So that, I don't know. So that's always great. They lifted restrictions on abortion access. They also were the first Southern state to adopt sweeping anti-discrimination laws for LGBTQ people. They elevated workers' rights, and Virginia is a state that's like known to be big business friendly. And they, when it turned into a blue trifecta, they worked to protect workers' rights. And they were the 38th state to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment, which I think we will probably also have another episode about.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have that whole episode about. Listen to the Ordinary Equality podcast with Kate Kelly, because you'll love it. And then someday we'll talk about the ERA.
Yeah. Oh, I thought I was done. I'm not even done. They also, this is again, since November 2019. So it's now May 2020. All of this stuff has happened between then and now because
this is your government at work, people.
So I wanted to talk about this episode because people are always like, it's broken on both sides of the aisle. And like, there are definitely corrupt Democrats, and we will not hesitate to talk shit about them. We don't like them either. Right.
No.
But, I want to show people that like government can be effective. It's just right now it's not catered towards the will of the people, but you can see when stuff like what happens in Virginia, in 2019, 2019, all of this shit has happened since then. So they raised the minimum wage. I forget what they raised it to right away, but it's going to get to $12 an hour over the next 3 years. So that's great. They decriminalized marijuana, so it's more like a parking ticket. Like it's not a criminal offense anymore. They also passed the Virginia Clean Economy Act, which has the goal to get the electric grid carbon-free by 2045. And also they targeted wind and solar development. And this is... Who's that?
Friends! Why are we barking? What's going on? Hey, it's okay. They were both passed out, and then they both started barking.
They love solar energy.
They're just so excited. Woo for Virginia!
But one of my personal favorite things that they are now allowed to do is cities and counties in Virginia are allowed to remove Confederate statues.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Which, let's go on the record, Confederate statues are fucking bullshit. Most of them got erected during the Civil Rights era to bully and intimidate Black people. And it is commemorating a war which the Confederacy lost, and it was over slavery, not states' rights. Let's not pretend that the Civil War was not about slavery. It was about slavery. All the Confederate statues gotta go.
Yeah. Also, like, don't talk to me about children getting too many participation trophies until we've taken down every single participation trophy in city parks across the South. What the hell?
True.
Right? That's what they are.
Yeah, no, Robert, who gives a shit about Robert E. Lee? I don't.
Nope.
I do not. All right.
Same with the flag. Pick one. Pick a flag.
Yeah. And, oh my God. So yeah, so there's, so that is really like why we have our series on swing states. Virginia is like the blueprint. So nothing is getting done with this federal government. It's too polarized, and none of these policies honestly have a chance at the moment at the federal level of getting passed. But when state legislatures and governors, when there's blue trifectas in a state, you can get so much shit done so fast. Virginia did so good. Imagine how much like safer it is to live in Virginia now, and like how many more protections, I don't know, gay people have, workers have. It's just, you love to see it. You do.
And like, I think what really stands with me too is like the will of the people, right? Most people support some type of common sense gun control. Mm-hmm. Most people support a woman's right to choose whether or not she's going to carry a pregnancy.
Right.
Like, and even like, you know, just at the most basic levels, like most people actually agree on really fundamental things.
Yeah. And it should be their representative's job.
Working towards that. Right. And that means that they're not working for you.
Right.
Which means
they're bad at their job.
Yeah.
Like, we think about them wrong. We're their boss. They work for us. Dan Lipinski's only my rep for a little bit longer, but like more than 70% of this district believes in a woman's right to choose, and he consistently votes against it. And you don't get to do that. I mean, clearly you don't get to do that. Marie Newman won by a decent amount, honestly. She won this time by like twice as much as she lost by last time, which is dope. Yeah. But yeah, so you don't get to do that. And, you know, we kicked Dan Lipinski out of Congress. I honestly didn't really do much to help Virginia flip blue, but if I paid as much attention as I do now, I definitely would have. But yeah, so like real change can happen, and you see it. Yeah. You see it in Virginia. You just saw it in Virginia, and we have an opportunity to do that in a lot of other states in like this November, or at least move them closer.
Yep. Well, yeah, and like if you live in a red trifecta and you flip it to a divided state, that is huge progress. Yeah. I mean, so I was just looking at a map of the states that are divided and the states that are all blue, the states that are all red. The all blue states are a lot of the ones that you would expect. And the red states were largely also what you would expect, right? Like your Western Midwest states, the South, the Southeast. And then your divided states were more scattered, but also like a lot of East Coast, across the North. And like when you think about things, or you look at things like the literacy rates and the amount that public education is funded, when you look at like quality of life in terms of access to healthcare, and like other just like real vital factors, the blue states, the blue trifectas, and the divided states are higher. Like when you're comparing the literacy or the obesity and all of these different rates that are measures of like health and well-being, when you're comparing those maps, it's really fascinating to see like where the hot spots are.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising either, because the states where the government is either like fully or divided in terms of the way that it's working for the people, have healthier people, have more educated people, have people who like have fewer people who are below the poverty line.
And a big part of that is probably where their budgeting priorities are, like what they actually put money into funding. It has legitimately like better health outcomes.
Yeah, it does. And so, those are important things to keep in mind, because it really all does come down to like that whole greater good thing. And thinking about like, it takes a village to raise a child. If you are a parent or thinking about becoming a parent or never going to be a parent, you're still part of that village.
Yeah, you still want, it's still like, a better place to live if more people are educated and more.
And like the future of wherever you live very much depends on like the policies that are enacted in that place that you do live.
Yeah.
Locally, on the state level and on the national level. But like, it really does start at home. Like it really does start at your neighborhood. Which like we know as public health, right? Like we know the zip code data and the data of like how different neighborhoods have different health outcomes. And all of that, like, because we know how much like local policies, local infrastructures impacts people's health and well-being.
Your zip code is a better indicator of health than your genetic code.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but it's true. I wanted to say one more thing when you were talking about how it's even better to have a divided legislature than it is to live in a red trifecta. But like after the 2018 election, when Trump got elected, 2016, both the House and the Senate were Republican owned, and the president was obviously a Republican. When we flipped the House in 2018, which that was a blue wave, it would have been really, really, really hard to flip the Senate in 2018. We have a chance to flip the Senate in 2020. But once the House flipped blue, there was an incredible amount of accountability that there wouldn't have been if the House was still Republican. Impeachment never would have happened. And like nothing, he didn't get removed from office or anything like that, but like he will always have been impeached. Like I don't know. It was the right thing to do, and it wouldn't have gotten done if it was still Republican owned. So it's always good. It's better to have a divided legislature than it is to have a red trifecta, because I don't know. It's just, there's more accountability that way.
Yeah. And like, it just ends up, like, I mean, that data's the data, right? I guess that's really all I've got to say.
I used to, when I was a bit, I think I talk about this sometimes, but a big part of I'd say the hardest part of my old job was looking at like health outcomes and understanding what a big impact health policy has on those, but not being allowed to talk about politics, and it just, there's like this huge disconnect, and I can say whatever the fuck I want now, which is cool. But
public health is inherently political,
of course,
and politics and public health are intertwined.
Yeah, which is why now we have to run for office.
If public health people were allowed to run more shit, this whole pandemic would have been handled a lot better. And I didn't really say that in any of the coronavirus updates that we've done, but it really would. Like we
kind of said it. We both were like, hey, if you and me were in charge, we'd be better off.
Yeah, like public health is prepared for this the best that we can as a very underfunded system.
It's a bunch of anxious people like looking at what the problems are going to be in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's literally what they're there to do. However, when politicians are then like, but we actually want to be the ones that call the shots, despite the fact that we don't know anything.
Yep.
It creates distrust and fear and anger and confusion, which is everything that we have saw and are seeing.
Yeah.
With this pandemic, but like it's not just this pandemic, right? It's every other political public health
every issue should be approached the same way. Yes.
It's access to birth control,
yes,
which was a big topic this week, right? A lot of people that were against it were like, well, I think abortion is murder. And I'm like, we're talking about
give a
access
shit
to a NuvaRing or an IUD or the birth control pill. Why are you talking about abortion being murder? What do those things have to do with each other?
Yeah, it's to get emotions
if your insurance
involved.
covers, if the insurance that you're paying for also covers your access to the pill, then that means you're getting an abortion. What? Like people just get so emotionally attached to false ideas.
And that person's vote counts as much as yours.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so we're electing nurses and people like that to the legislature, which is like, what Lori Pahutsky is in Michigan.
Should run for office.
Yep.
Public health people should run for office. Like,
yep.
People who work in public health should be the ones calling all of the shots.
Yeah. We're kind of biased, but I agree.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, we are biased, but also, I mean, it's true.
It is true. So what political actions are we taking this week? I'll start.
Okay.
We talked about it on our Michigan episode. Honestly, I think all the swing state episodes are interesting enough that I would listen to all of them. But like, what we really would love is if you know a person in those states, if you could send them that episode to one person who lives in that state, that would be amazing, because really each of those episodes is exactly what you need to know about what's happening in your state, what's at stake, and what you could influence. So yeah, but we talked about this in the Michigan episode. We are participating in trivia, not tomorrow, but the next day. Yay! That benefits Lori Pahutsky, who is a microbiologist. Oh no, I'm sorry. She's not a nurse. She's a microbiologist from the Michigan House. Yes. So she's like the most vulnerable candidate in the Michigan House. She won her seat in 2018 by 221 votes. So her seat is pretty much up. I mean, incumbents are like usually have a slight advantage, but like she won by so few votes that that's a pretty purple district. So we want to make sure that she gets elected again. So you can follow Sister District and or Lori Pahutsky on social media or donate money to them. Sister District basically explained that especially in local races, getting money right now is like yeast, because if you donate money now, that means that maybe they can hire extra staffers or a social media person or da-da-da-da. Whereas if you donate money later in the campaign, that's also great, but it's probably going to go towards like buying ads or TV ads and whatnot. So if you can donate to especially local races now, especially local races in swing states, we'll talk about them when we come to it. But Lori Pahutsky is a great example. So that's who the trivia that we're going to on Saturday benefits. And I was also going to say, follow on social media Moms Demand Action, because they are one of the groups that worked so hard, and I think Sister District was too, to flip Virginia blue. And obviously we're grateful that that happened. So what do you got? What other political actions this week?
Well, something that happened months ago that has hit the news this week is the killing of Ahmaud Arbery.
Oh, yeah.
I hope I said his last name correct. So it did just happen within like the last couple of hours, where finally Ahmaud's killers have been arrested. Gregory and Travis McMichael. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the case by now, maybe seen the video, where a Black man jogging is hunted down by 2 white men and shot.
And a third one was videotaping it. I heard
and a third one was videotaping it
too.
It's horrific and it's sad. And like, I'm a white female runner. So like as a woman, I have felt very scared before when I run, and I have run like thousands and thousands of miles in my life, probably. And like, I have felt very scared and threatened at times by humans.
And geese.
I've also been chased by dogs, and one time a pony. Well, it was actually a miniature horse. I was chased by a miniature horse.
That sounds nice.
Honestly.
Actually, yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It was very mad. It was angry, not gelded, but whatever. But I have never feared somebody would hunt me down to shoot me because they thought I looked suspicious.
Yeah. And it doesn't. It's daytime. He's jogging.
Yeah, it's daytime. It's like, so I know what that fear feels like, but I have no idea what it feels like to know that you're being targeted because of your skin color.
Yeah, if he was
and I
white,
understand that. And I just I want to say that a lot of us in the running community are doing a hashtag I run with Maud thing this weekend. And that involves, for me anyway, donating money to, I guess I already have to, what's the name of it? It's the Sean King.
I get the emails, but I don't.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
I can't remember this one's bad. But yeah, so I did that earlier this week. And then I probably will again this weekend. I believe that they've set up a GoFundMe for the family.
Oh, yes, I've seen it. Yep.
Yeah, and so I think I'll donate to that because I imagine that they're going to have a lot of legal trouble ahead. They're probably going to have to relocate or move, I imagine, because after this, there are racist white people who are going to probably target them. I hope not. So yeah, I don't know. It's very scary, but just kind of a reminder to, all of us can do better. We really can. And also, yeah, if you're looking for anywhere to donate money to, that would be a great cause.
Yeah.
Donate to Black Lives Matter, support those organizations, basically just kind of do whatever you can. I made some phone calls.
Did you?
Yeah, a few days ago, I made some phone calls. I even called the Attorney General's office and was like, nobody's probably going to listen to this, but I'm going to try.
William Barr?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I called William Barr's office.
Good job.
I did at one, so I also called the Georgia Bureau of Investigation office. That was the only live person I got to speak to. Everyone else that I spoke to, it was literally just recording a voicemail. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to talk to real people, if you're calling for something like that, a lot of times you're just going to get a voicemail. But even when I did,
you can call this. Sorry, what I do a lot is I hate talking to people on the phone. I need to get over it because I'm a 29-year-old woman, but I legitimately get an incredible amount of anxiety thinking about talking to people on the phone. That's why I always talk to you guys about ResistBot, because it's just as good of a way to reach your representatives, but you don't have to talk to anybody. But if you really do have to call, you can call at nighttime. You can leave a voicemail, and that counts just as much as a phone call. It's just really a staffer or an intern who's checking those messages and then tallying how many constituents are for or against or whatever. And like you said, Ahmaud he was murdered months ago, right?
In February.
And it's just
February
now,
23rd.
And the people who murdered him on video in daylight just got arrested today on May 7th. And that's because of the activism from people like Morgan, who called and were like, hey, we're not cool with this. We're not cool with lynchings in 2020.
Yeah, that absolutely wouldn't have happened if people weren't calling.
Right.
And keep in mind that we should not live in a world where somebody can be lynched.
Right.
And nothing happens until a video
outrage.
was released.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we should not be living in that kind of a world. So just kind of like that little bit of a reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it makes me feel incredibly sad.
Yeah.
So, you know, this weekend, if you're not having any funds that you're able to donate to something like Black Lives Matter or the Family's GoFundMe, they're asking to run 2.23 miles and use the hashtag #IRunWithMaude to show solidarity.
Why 2.23?
The date that he was killed.
Oh.
As a reminder of how long it took.
I'm glad it's not 5.7. Sorry, that was tacky. I was also going to suggest, if you haven't yet, joining your local Indivisibles mailing list, because there are thousands of them all over the country, and most of them send out newsletters. Mine is weekly. I bet most of them are weekly, that have like specific actions that you can take in your community. And I just really like getting that newsletter and going through, like, Morgan and I tell you what we are doing this week to give you an idea of what, like, two real people who care a lot about politics and feminism and race relations and all of that stuff, like some of the actions that we are taking. I've talked before about how I try to dedicate at least 4 hours a month to specific actions that would like protect our democracy and things like that. But I mean, it usually honestly ends up being more than that, but my monthly goal is at least 4 hours a month. But I like looking through that newsletter and seeing, like, I see the ones that are call your representatives and I pass them because I have a weird anxiety with phone stuff. But I also see a lot of other stuff and places where they need people to jump in and give a little bit of extra help. So, like, for example, I always participate in that Zoom call that my Indivisible group does on Mondays. Again, anybody is welcome to join us. It's a bunch of very nice ladies. And I think last week they were like, "Does your boyfriend want to come?" And I was like,
Aww.
"Maybe." Like, so we'll see. Hey, Clark, if you're listening to this on Monday, you might have to do a Zoom call at 7. He needed a haircut when quarantine started. He needs a haircut so bad. I almost want to be like, ladies, like, I should like warn them. It's like, I know he looks like Justin Bieber from whatever year that was, but please, the quarantine.
You know, he could do it himself.
I know. I kind of want him to. I don't know. Anyway, love you, Clark. You're perfect just the way you are.
I need a haircut very badly too.
Me too.
I'm not about ready to like storm the Bastille over it.
Of course not. Yeah. But so I do that, and I've basically volunteered to keep track of how many letters my Indivisible group writes between now and the November 3rd election, and we set a goal of 5,000 letters by then. So, and I'm gonna try. I'm also gonna take over our Indivisible group's Instagram, so I can try and promote the letter writing and stuff like that way. But if you haven't yet, go to voteforward.org and sign up for that. If you live in the Chicagoland area and you don't have a printer, I'll drop off 20 letters at your house if you want. So, but those are like the actions I got going on this week. I feel pretty good about what we're doing this week.
The Action Pack. That's literally the organization I donated
yes.
to. I'm like, why the hell could I not think of that? I was like, Sean King was
I'm glad you found
on,
it.
Like, the phone call thing, but I was like,
good job. We won't forget again.
It's late, you guys.
It is late. This is the latest we've ever recorded.
Yeah. This is like a late night.
10:09 p.m. What else? Okay, well, we're at the fun part of the episode. Do you have any self-care as like recovering from goose attack or anything like that?
Like, literally, I'm just like, oh, I got attacked by a goose. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I never wrote
sparked joy.
I never wrote my letter of congratulations to myself. I did in my head. I'm still going to get around to it, I think. But let's see. Hopefully, when will this come out? You know what? She won't listen to it. I'm going to make my mom a birthday present. So my mom is, I gave her Mother's Day present already, but her birthday is later that week. And, you know, when I was a kid, the only thing I could give her was homemade gifts because I had no money. And so even though I'm a grown-ass adult who could buy her something, I wanted to mean something. So I bought supplies from a local retailer to make her a gift for her birthday. She's turning 50. I'm sure she wouldn't want me to say that, but I think she looks beautiful and could still be my sister. So, you know, so that's honestly going to be like my self-care. I'm very excited.
That sounds really fun.
It's going to be fun.
What are you going to make? Or do you want it to be a surprise? Candles?
I'm going to make some candles.
Nice. I've never done that.
Make them smell like, I got, I'm like sitting on my cords. I got like seaside smelling things, which my mom is not an ocean person, but she likes outdoorsy scents. And so I think she's going to like it.
That sounds so fun. That's such a good idea.
What are you doing this week?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't been going for walks lately, so that like 30-minute I took a walk while I was listening to today's episode of My Favorite Murder. But
nice.
Yeah, it was really good. The only other thing I can think about that I'm excited about is I got new mascara in the mail today.
Ooh, it looks so good.
Thank you. Honestly, new mascara is such a fun treat, but it also
gorgeous.
Thank you. It's specifically the kind that Maddie Pruitt from The Bachelor uses. Yeah. Do you remember how like out of control good her eyelashes looked?
Yes.
I feel pretty confident.
I just assumed they were fake.
They are not. They're real. Wow. Her bottom lashes are like as long as her top lashes. It's insane. I'm gonna like my eyelashes look really good, but they do not look like hers. She just has like perfect eyelashes basically.
Well, you're pretty in different ways.
Thank you. No, I know. I'm a big fan of myself. I just like part of me got of like when I ordered that, I was like, I'm going to have Maddie Pruitt eyelashes. And it's like, no, you're not going to. Stop it. Yeah, I mean, so that's kind of fun. What have I been like watching? Do I have any recommendations? Do you have any recommendations?
I'm just rewatching Schitt's Creek because it makes me happy.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's that. I'm like, there's so many good things I could watch, but I'm just going to keep watching Schitt's Creek. Oh, she does have nice eyelashes.
Oh, yeah.
I just Googled a picture because I had to.
What did I watch? I watched Bombshell about Roger Ailes. It was good. Like, I'm glad that I have a better understanding of that whole situation. I thought it would be better though. Like I didn't feel that attached to anybody. I don't know. Oh my God. This is it. I watched the Larry Nassar documentary.
Oh yeah.
That was good too.
You watched that since the last time we recorded.
Yeah, because I'm getting all the terrible stuff out of the way. But basically, like at this point, I feel like I'm trying to become an expert in like predators and people who like take advantage of other people. And like at this point it's basically textbook and like what Larry Nassar did, what Harvey Weinstein did, what Bill Cosby did, what Donald Trump is doing, like what Jeffrey Epstein did. Like all of it is I'm glad that I like can recognize those patterns now because I just feel like I have like a bullshit detector that I don't know that everybody could probably use.
I'm like obsessed with looking at these pictures right now.
What, yeah, Maddie Pruitt's eyelashes? I know.
I think we could have a whole episode about like that whole thing about like that kind of control.
Yeah.
We have gotten a very long list of future episodes.
I know, and
I'm very excited.
If you listen to this episode and you like when we came across one of the parts where we like we could do an episode just about that. Let us know if one of those like piques your interest and you'd rather us cover that first because we pretty much work like a week at a time. So
yeah, exactly. We are not that far ahead of schedule.
We take your suggestions very seriously. So
and also, just like the government should be, we want to work for you, the listener.
Yeah.
We want to give you what you want, people.
We do.
Vote for us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you have anything else before we go?
That's it. Stay safe and healthy, everybody.
Yeah.
Wishing you all the best.
Yep. And we will talk to you guys next week.
Okay.
Stay sexy.
God bless Sarah Kenzier.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for listening to For Your Misinformation. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast. And if you like it, give us a rating and a review. It helps us find more listeners, and the more of us there are, the better.
And make sure you're following along on Instagram and Twitter at FYMI Pod.
Shout out to Kyle Dibdahl for the intro and outro music, Hope Dye for the podcast art, and Ben Schlofelt for the audio production.
We come out with new episodes every Monday.